Chapter 22. The shaman's work in soothing the spirit of Earth had saved the vast majority of the clan. The total loss of life was 7, and thankfully there were no children among the dead. Mercifully, too, there were no sounds from the sinkhole. Durotan was not sure that he would have been able to stop himself or others from attempting a rescue if anyone had been calling for help from the depths. The hole still loomed, an enormous grave beside the place that had once been a haven for Draka and the Draenor. It had been the Frostwolves' home for many months. Now, they would need to press on. Again. There had been moments when Durotan had revisited his decision to refuse Gul'dan. He knew the whispers were racing around the encampment now, but this time there was an answer. After the initial wave of grief over the tragedy had passed, and the orcs were calmer, he called them all together and shared what Drek'tar had said. Our wise shaman believes that if we go south, if we join the Horde and ally with the warlock Gul'dan, the spirits may never be able to speak with us again, he told the listening crowd. But if we travel north, to the seat of the spirits, it may be that we can help them.
Us? Help the spirits? Kag'ra said. Why would they need us?
These disasters, the hard winters, Great Father Mountain, the sinkhole, we thought they came because the spirits had turned against us, but we were wrong. They've been crying out for us to help them. They've been falling ill somehow, spinning out of control. He took a deep breath. Drek'tar thinks it's possible that they could be dying, the way the grasses and trees are dying.
What?
Cried Shaxxa.
How can this be? They are the spirits of the elements. They cannot die.
Drek'tar pounded his staff on the ground. Listen! Please listen to me! When the clan quietened, he continued. I am but a humble shaman. I have always listened with open heart, and the spirits have spoken to me for most of my life. They warned me of the Fire River, and they warned me today, but not in time. Like fire was, earth and water now are sick. And just as fire did, they are manifesting as tainted and violent. They are asking for our help.
But the north, someone muttered.
Durotan stepped forward again. If beasts can live in the far north, so can Frostwolves, he said. We will find a way. It will be difficult, but we have no choice. We cannot stay here, and we should not go south. He looked from face to face. Quietly, he said, I know you are heartsore. He said, I know it seems that for the last several years, all we have known is loss. We are forced to keep moving, to keep starting over, each time with fewer friends or mates or children. I would surrender my life to give you a place to call home that can truly nourish us, but I do not trust one whom the spirits do not trust. And I would not see Frostwolves turn away from the spirits when they cry out for our aid. They looked up at Durotan with bleak, sad eyes, but he saw heads nodding in agreement. Good. Then we will gather up all that we may, and on the morrow we will head north as north can be, to the seat of the spirits, just as a Frostwolf chieftain did long ago. And we will go, as always, with honor. That night, the Frostwolves prepared to leave their homes for the second time. How many Lochvad nods, he brooded, had been written since he had taken over as chieftain? How many since the winters had first started growing too long? Action was needed lest he fall too far into a foul mood, and there was plenty to do. First, Durotan held a strategy meeting with his council. Gaia, surprisingly, was more than firm on the idea of heading north. Your father would do whatever was necessary to take care of the clan, she said. And we Frostwolves have always been associated with the north. The seat of the spirits is mentioned frequently in the scrolls, and while the spirits are honored by all orcs, we have always had a unique relationship with them. I think we will be glad of this journey. Drek'tar nodded in agreement. We will be able to help one another. The spirits are in need, and so are we. Orgrim sighed. This place was never meant to be a home. I don't know how we will survive in the north, but I do know that with a poisoned lake and a hungry earth, anywhere is better than here.
Most clans have an ancestral homeland, Draka said. But not all. Some clans are nomadic, as the scrolls say we once were, following the herd animals they hunt across Draenor during their migrations. I have met a few of them, and I will be happy to show you how they travelled.
Gaia looked at Draka.
You have given me an idea, she said. I will search through the scrolls to see if they can tell us anything about our nomadic heritage.
Between Draka's experience and Gaia's research, the clan soon had many ideas for how to make the journey. Gaia found a scroll that contained sketches depicting how the trunks of smaller trees could be fashioned into poles and placed together, touching at the top, wide at the bottom. Other scrolls had different designs for larger buildings to shelter several orcs at once.
Then they draped hides about this structure, Gaia said.
Durotan peered at the illustrations.
Yes, Draka confirmed excitedly. I have seen these. And some of the poles, or sometimes the tusks of great beasts, have a second use when they are following the herds, she said. She reached for 2 small pieces of kindling to show them as she spoke. They take 2 of the poles and lay them alongside one another, narrow at the top, wider at the bottom, to form a triangle. The narrow part here they strap to their wolves. The end trails on the ground, and between the poles they lash an animal skin to hold whatever they want to bring.
Why not simply lash items to the wolves? Durotan asked.
The weight is better distributed, Draka replied, and this way the wolf can transport things that might be too awkward to be placed atop a moving creature, and over difficult terrain like stones or snow. This is better.
Orgrim looked at the twig construction, then at the scroll, then at the 2 females. Durotan, he said, if we are both killed in battle, as long as the clan has these 2, they won't miss us at all.
I will not say you are wrong, Durotan said.
Armed with this new information, Durotan went from family to family, helping each of them for a while. He laughed at little jokes some of the children told, offered his advice on which weapons to bring and which were beyond repair and should be left behind, and helped them to begin assembling the carry poles. The wolves did not like the feeling of having the poles tied to their bodies, but they grudgingly accepted them. The going was slow at first, particularly since they were all too aware that what seemed to be solid earth might open up and swallow them at any moment. But that did not happen, and the further they travelled from the poorly named haven, the lighter Durotan's heart grew. This felt right to him, in a way that the flight from Frostfire Ridge had not. Then they had been forced to run as fast as possible, able to take only a few precious items. They had lost a home they had never imagined leaving, and the winter had been upon them. Now they were choosing to leave a place they had never truly felt was home. They had time to pack carefully, and a new method of taking things with them. The days were hot and long, but that was preferable to the icy darkness. Though the clan's number was reduced, and the losses greatly mourned, there were enough wolves so that everyone could ride, with a few left over to, albeit with whimpered protest, pull the carry poles. And, most important, Durotan thought, they were going to something, not simply from something. As he rode in thoughtful silence beside Draka, Durotan's mind raced with ideas for survival. At the edge of the world, the true final north, he had heard, there was only snow and ice. Was that where the seat of the spirits was? If so, the orcs could not live there, but they could travel there temporarily. Just south of this world of ice and snow, though, was a place called the Tundra. There they could live. There, with the blessing of the spirits, they could make a home. As the weeks passed, the frost wolves watched the forests thin, until there were no trees at all. Pausing at one point, Durotan looked about and observed that there was a clear demarcation where the trees ceased to grow. A line, it seemed. They would not cross. Durotan wondered if orcs too should cross it. It seemed like such a clear boundary. But Drek'Tar assured him they should press on. If there are no trees, what will we burn in the winter? Orgrim wanted to know.
We will discover what can burn and what cannot, Drek'Tar assured him. The spirits will guide us.
He alone of the Frostwolves had seemed to grow in confidence and even physical vigor as they drew ever closer to the elusive seat of the spirits. Though he didn't understand it, Durotan respected it,
and many a night as they journeyed, it was the only thing that allowed him to drift off to sleep. They rested at the edge of the forest for a few days, replenishing water skins, carving new poles or spears or arrow shafts, and snaring small rodents. The song of the frost wolves' wild brethren was heard as the journey progressed, but the answering response deterred any packs from attacking the orcs. Even so, Durotan ordered that everyone should be in armed groups of at least 3 when they stopped to find water or food. There had been stories of great bears, as white as the frost wolves, who experienced no fear, but their homes were believed to be even further to the north. The hunters were sent not just to look for prey, but to discover other things that were wholesome to eat. They learned that the strange hard moss that grew on stones was nourishing when boiled. They learned to observe the white foxes and set snares where they hunted. Then one day, the sky, which had been very clear and almost painfully blue, began to pale as it met the horizon instead. As they pushed forward, Durotan noticed the wolves sniffing the air more than usual. He inhaled deeply, but could smell nothing amiss. A few hours later, Drek'tar frowned.
"Is there a fire?"
he asked, worry in his voice. "Not that I can see," Durotan told him, "though there is a whitish haze on the horizon."
"I smell smoke, but not of a sort that is familiar to me. And I can taste it, like metal somehow. Or soil."
Durotan and Drek'tar exchanged worried glances. Durotan urged Sharptooth over to the finest fighters in the clan, Delgar, Kulzak, and Zaka. "You 3, he said, "ride on ahead and report back. Drek'tar smells smoke, and I think the wolves do too." They nodded. "Red walkers?" Zaka asked. "Possibly. Whatever it is, I do not wish to take my people there without knowing what we face. Don't exhaust your wolves. Return before sunset." He gave them a rough smile. "And if what we face is something good to eat, bring it back with you." They gave him tired smiles in return. "As my chieftain wills," said Kulzak. He and the others urged their wolves ahead of the pack. They returned well before sunset. There were no birds or small beasts thrown over their wolves, and Durotan's heart sank at their expressions. He rode out to meet them, anxious to hear their report before telling the rest of the clan. "What is it?" he asked. "Who created the fire?" They exchanged glances, and finally Delgar spoke. "I would not have believed it had I not seen it with my own eyes, but tell me."
"My chieftain, the soil itself is on fire.